Dementia can so easily knock self-confidence, but to combat that self-confidence, if dementia residents can think, listen, learn and imbibe that which is newsworthy, that goes a long way to improving and increasing self-confidence with dementia residents. As one of the residents said, unless we have something to talk about, how can we communicate? So the two programs that enable these dementia residents to build their confidence and build their communication, and the programs that they had always enjoyed, most of them, was the 6 o'clock news and after that, the chaser. They were the two programs that enabled them to build their confidence, to think, to listen, to learn, to imbibe, and then with that confidence have be able to communicate with each other about the news and what was going on in the world. So that was a great exercise to be able to not only build confidence, but also be able to communicate with the group and also when friends and family came in to visit. Actually, because they were so intent on listening to the news and the chaser, and because it was so pivotal to them to be able to think and imbibe and engage, because they knew this was their way of being able to harness confidence enough to communicate. Without that, without the news and the chaser at night, they'd have no way of being able to know what was going on, no way of being able to connect with the outside world, to be able to communicate with others, to be interesting enough to be able to hold a conversation. So because they had this confidence in the programs of the news and the chaser, that gave them the confidence to be able to be assertive. This was one time that the residents were assertive, one of the only times initially. If a staff member went to change the channel, everyone would call out, "Don't change the channel, we want to hear the news, we want to listen to the chaser." So they were assertive enough to override any staff member who tried to change the channel. Now that is actually a really big move in a dementia unit, for the group to have the confidence to have their say. Because initially, many of these dementia units and the dementia residents in them are very shut down and shut off. You know, they're not expressing their opinion, they're certainly not assertive, and they're not even communicating. But to be able to have the confidence to stand up, be assertive, give their opinion, and change the tide so that they can continue to look at the news and the chaser each evening, is a sign of a community becoming established, that the wishes of the community are being listened to, adhered to and established, which is what happened in this dementia community. Because of their self-confidence and group confidence and assertiveness, the staff listened to their voice, and as a result of that, every night, 6 o'clock the news, they'd all be there sitting to look at the current affairs and political affairs of the day, and after that enjoy the quiz. It was their time, and it helped garner their concentration and their focus so that they could absorb what was going on in the world and not be separate to the world but part of the world. It would also help with those ladies that were good at crosswords. They enjoyed doing that, the minority, but the main thing being that they then had something to communicate, information to communicate about with each other in the evening, and then the following morning when the press reading is always read to the group, they could follow that through with what they'd read the night before. And then when friends and family came in, they had something to discuss. So it was, a positive cycle. And all because of these aspects, the news and the chaser, they were able to build their confidence in communication. Because if people can't communicate, then they don't have any chance of being able to have a real life in a dementia community. I mean, you have to be able to communicate to be able to make friends. And no matter what the level of communication, still there has to be something within it. I mean, some people are more disabled, of course, and they haven't got the cognition to read or absorb the news, and everyone accepts that. But for those that can make the effort and, that do try and that have maybe been school teachers before and big readers, that helps a lot. They can click into that cognition, and those that can actually garner this ability of absorbing information and absorbing that which is newsworthy and politically, up to date, that gives a big boost to the group, because it will encourage others to make the effort. It will enable others to see that it's possible. And from there, group discussion can happen, especially if it's facilitated by a diversional therapist or an activity coordinator who is enthusiastic, who is upbeat, and who can motivate the group. There still has to be, a lot of motivation and encouragement that goes on with the person that's facilitating the sessions. And actually, residents can actually encourage and motivate each other. That's another point. And that's even better than being facilitated or motivated by others. And a good example of this in terms of self-confidence and communication and how other residents motivated others was with the Army General and the school teacher. When they were new residents, they came into the facility when the new group had only just started to communicate. And the school teacher was so articulate, really. She didn't have dementia as far as she was concerned, but didn't mind living there. But she was so articulate and so up to date with the news and politics because she read so much. And the Army General didn't read so much, but he thought a lot and loved the news and the chaser. And because the group had these two individuals who were self-confident, who did communicate well, who didn't allow themselves to be depressed by dementia in any way, shape or form, that was an example for the others to follow, and it really lifted the group. So it can be done, but there needs to be a lot of, input in terms of thinking and reading and listening and absorbing, and two programs like the news and the chaser can go a long way in helping this come about. So I've written these two books, The Resident's Voice from a Dementia Unit and The Resident's Rise from a Dementia Unit, with all these topics in the epilogues of both books and the novel at the start of both books on everything that people in dementia facilities have to go through and what's needed in terms of coming into a unit, with the resident's voice, what's needed for dementia residents coming into the unit, and for relatives to know how to manage that, and when residents are in dementia facilities and the issues that they have to face. So these books can be got on Amazon and also on my website www.pietavalentine.com. And thank you so much for the surge of support, everybody, especially on TikTok, this viewing. I really, really appreciate it to be able to get this important platform up and running for these wonderful dementia residents. They so deserve to have a voice, and at last it seems that this is going to be the case. Thank you so, so much.